Ready?
If there's someone.
Okay, we'll call the Public Facilities Committee meeting together, 5:30 PM, 25th of September. Call to order. It looks like all members are here. First item are rental rates for the community center.
That would be this room?
Yeah,
Sorry, I just had to clarify that.
go.
I think Nathan put together, two proposals on top of our current, rates right now. Right now, this room is exorbitantly priced, and I think some of the rationale back then was to push people to the other building. But I don't think that's the right thing to do. You know, we built this building using taxpayer money, and they should have the opportunity to use this without being gouged. I know it's expensive, but we're never gonna pay off the building on these rental rates, so let's try to at least make it affordable so people can utilize the building. Right now, I guess they're $275 for a resident, and I believe we're looking at either $120 or $150 for a rental fee. We got rid of all the 1 hour, 4 hour, full day, and we're going with just a flat price. So there's a little room for discussion there whether we want to lower that flat price or, you know, bring back the 4 hour. I'm just assume make it affordable and just let them have for the day. We don't have a lot of conflict in here.
Yeah, I think a full day thing is,
Yeah.
it makes sense, just
Yeah.
because there's a lot of groups that if they even just want it for the morning, there's still the cleanup, or they want it for the afternoon, there's the setup. And
You know, we still got to set it up, and we still got to come back in here and clean it up later. So we don't always have time to do it right away. So it's easier if they just call it the full day. So I think again, we're recommending higher rates for non-residents. That's only fair, and they're still reasonable. We're coming down from $550. We've never rented it to a non-resident for $550. Now 200's probably more reasonable.
Do you think renting it, if somebody wanted it for 2 hours, renting it for $120 under the full day would be exorbitant yet? Should we make that a 4 hour period at $120 and then do the full day at $150? So give them
Well, instead of doing like 4 hours, let's just call it half day and full day.
okay.
A half day would be, you know, a half business day. You know, you got some time to set up. We'll call it 6 hour. Half day is 6 hours because you have to set up and you have to clean up afterwards. So, what do you think, Nathan?
My thought is that no one rents it other than it gets rented on the weekends, and it's usually for a bridal shower, which is gonna have set up, and then they'll probably have a 4 hour shower.
But do you think more people would rent it because they're not renting it because it's too expensive?
That's why I think they're not renting.
So we can't solely make a decision on that based on current rental happenings
Yeah,
because
but
they're not renting.
we also have to think about we don't have employees here to double check, make sure they're only here for 4 hours on Saturday.
Oh,
There's nobody here to clean up after them.
Yeah.
We don't come in here on the weekends to
How do
clean
they
up.
get in? I mean, I know that like this is open over here, but then there's a gate.
There's
How
a
do they
general
give it a
purpose key that will get in this room.
Yep.
Okay,
From the outside.
okay.
So
So could you do weekends or full day, but during the week? they could?
Offer a
The
half
week
and
rentals
full.
are usually not rented because that's meant for
These types of meetings?
yeah
and stuff.
these meetings. Library has a lot of programs.
Not-for-profit.
Nonprofit groups
Girl
come in.
Scouts,
Senior activities and stuff, and it's just usually more for nonprofit
Government,
groups during the week.
Are
It's
you
kind
gonna
of how-
split the room then?
We want to get away from that.
You're gonna get away
they've
from
already-
splitting the room?
Yeah.
I would get away from splitting this room.
There's no point in it because we don't want people using this board table for
Right.
food or anything else, or drinks.
And that side's too small for anything.
Yeah,
Once the curtains
that
are drawn.
Yeah.
somebody damaged my partition wall, and that's a $25,000 partition wall. So if I don't have to split it, if it's going to be pulled out, I'd rather we do it for our stuff
Exactly.
and not overdo it. Right now it's damaged, and we've got some parts on order, but
Not that I want another expense, but is there any way, without putting up like a permanent partition wall in, is there any way to block off, let's say from where this starts? I mean, I agree not to split up the room, but let's say if you're really worried about how this is being treated during different parties, you don't want food, you don't want drink, could you divide just this part out?
Not without
Not
putting in
really.
another
Not
$25,000 wall.
Yeah.
To do it properly.
Well, but
And-
you have
and-
something at the
and
Opera House right now is
I'm
what I was
talking
looking
adults
at.
Yeah.
and
I agree.
kids and, you know, even the library, for instance, they don't do it very often, but they use this and they got glitter and stuff, and I'm not complaining. But, and they're village employees, so who knows what non-village employees do.
Can there be a cover for this part?
I don't know. I think we should, for the 1 or 2 times a year we have competing events, why even?
I think that
bother?
they won't put stuff on here if they have that available.
Yeah.
The reason they're
Yeah.
putting it here is because this is the
Yeah.
only thing available. So you have that area, I think you're gonna get less need to put
We
stuff
don't
on.
mind people using it, especially, you know, if they're having, I'm gonna go back to the library again. Nothing wrong with the library, I'm not complaining about it. But if they're having a show and tell or something, they use this, or a class, and there's nothing wrong with
We use
using
it for the
it.
book sale.
Yeah,
Sale,
and
yeah.
they use it all the time, so that's good. It's just that, you know, even the Chamber of Commerce, they've had pizza parties, and then, you know, 4 or 5 of them get up, come over here and slaughter pizza grease all over your chairs and everything. And, you know, these are adults, and I just use them as an example, I'm not saying they did the, you know.
Who here is a chamber member?
I just resigned. No, I'm just kidding.
But
I'm not in it.
You did what?
Because
I
of
just
pizza.
resigned.
So did I.
No, I'm not in it.
I don't want my pizza.
I
pizza on
think
my
we need
chair.
to get away from the splitting it.
Could it be part of the
We can
agreement that
split
they
it.
don't?
If it
It's
comes
already
to
in
that.
there. They don't read it.
But nobody's here to exercise it.
Yeah.
On a weekend, nobody's
There's-
gonna sit here and make sure they don't use it.
No,
That's
but
the
you come
problem.
back and there's pizza grease all over the chairs.
Well, I'll tell you what, the resolution to that might be, keep the deposit a little
So,
bit
so
higher.
that
Instead of
was my
100.
next point. I think we're gonna gain people renting it if we decrease the monthly, or the rental and increase the deposit, because they, in their brains, the thought is, I'm gonna get that back.
Right.
So they don't mind paying a higher deposit, thinking they're gonna get it back. Meanwhile, we need to do the efforts to exercise our abilities to hold parts of deposits
Right.
for cleanup. So I think we can offset some of the reductions that we're gonna have in the rental, and just have higher.
The way I look at it, the current rent, full day is $275. If we dropped it 100 and a quarter down to 150 instead of 120, and increase the deposit to 200.
That's what so I put together a handy, I played a little bit with numbers today, and I had the deposit for this room to be 200, because this room is newer. So I felt that things to replace in here are gonna be less depreciated, it's gonna cost more, it just costs more. So I thought increasing a deposit and decreasing the rental rate would be a better idea. Cause I know if I went somewhere.
What do you have for a rental again?
For a full day rate,
Yeah.
I have for this joint room, 100 with a 200 deposit. But, which shows it for a resident. It's a drastic reduction in the day rate, but we're holding a deposit. So to them, they don't care, they think they're getting it back.
For this area here, we don't keep cleaning, well, we do have cleaning supplies in the room which they can have access to, but we typically, it will set till Monday and then our janitor will clean it up. So it's not like the Opera House where they spill beer and just trash the place. So we can probably get by till Monday cleaning it, and $100 is probably more than sufficient. $200 isn't gonna buy a window pane, or isn't gonna buy a chair, or, you know, it's not really gonna buy anything in this room except for maybe some rubber
I would make the
bottles.
deposit the same as the rent, 150 and 150.
Yeah,
Okay.
or split it, because
That's a
I
good
think.
compromise.
I think
Can there be
you-
some, yeah, can there be something in the agreement though, that if it is something like major property damage, a window pane, you know, a slice in the leather chair,
That
something
would probably have
bigger.
to go through civil court or something.
something.
I've never done it before, but I'm assuming that.
Cause I would
So-
imagine, you know, if I rented somewhere and we broke a window, and I'd be like, well, just keep my deposit. Well, clearly that's more than the deposit amount.
Yeah, we've replaced
Yeah.
one window in the building already, and it was 500 something bucks.
I remember with the library, wasn't it? Wasn't
Yeah.
there a window at the
And that
library we
was
paid for?
just, yeah,
Yeah.
that was just the upper part.
Well, as verbiage and language added to the deposit, you could probably make some connotation about
Any expenses.
any
would be allowed.
expenses above and beyond would be billed back at least you'd have some documentation.
Yeah.
If they don't pay it, then you take them to court.
Yeah, but I think if like something that, my worry is always with the leather chairs, and if any kind of, the scissors, any kind of cut or even anything, water damage, 150 isn't gonna cover it.
Do these need to be
No.
out here?
They actually did this in a different community where they charge more if you did excess damage.
Above and
that the
beyond the
village will
deposit.
have
Yeah,
the
I think
right
that could be wording in
to
there.
charge them to replace
I would
whatever
think
they
so.
damaged.
Yeah.
So that could be put in
Mhm.
Right.
the rental agreement.
We can
So
find
they
something.
know this deposit's not coming back, and in addition, any other damage
That'll be a little note
above
at the
and
bottom.
beyond
Yeah.
would be an additional cost.
So we have
To
100,
replace.
we have 150 full day, 150 to deposit, with language added as a subnote that any damages above and beyond the deposit will be billed back to you, you're responsible for it.
Absolutely.
And if they don't pay it, you send them an invoice.
All right.
You don't pay it, then we take them to court, give them 30 days to pay it.
Yep, all right.
So then the non-resident would be 250 and 250 deposit, is that correct? Or do you want to keep the deposit still at 150?
Well, that's certainly better than 1127, but it's still kind of up there. I don't think the deposit needs to be any higher,
Okay, leave it at 150 then,
so 250 and 150.
right,
So it'll be 400 instead of 300.
right.
So the non-resident is 250 and 150.
150 for deposit.
Okay, all right, all right.
150, 150 for the, oh, you're saying non-resident? Yeah,
Non-resident is 250, 150.
right.
Okay,
All in agreement? Okay,
so basically proposal 2 with just those corrections, and then we want to look into maybe adding some wording, or verify that our wording is adequate. Any damages above and beyond are going to be billed.
We
all
have
in favor?
8 pages of terms.
Let's take a vote.
This
Okay.
is just the community center one?
Yeah.
Yes, that's just this area.
Okay, I could check to see if there's wording at Mosquito Hill, if that would help you too. 'Cause we-
I'm sure there's something else.
Okay.
Nathan will find it if there is.
All right,
Yeah.
all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, rental rates for the Opera House. You want to take that, Nathan?
Yeah. So, proposal 1 would just give would make it so that you could still do a single day rental if you wanted to on the weekends. And then certain ones, weddings, would be up to the discretion, administrative discretion to determine whether a renter needs the full weekend or not, unless they opt for it for themselves. So like if a wedding insists on not, then it would be up to the administration, whether it be Carl, myself, or David, to decide whether they really need it for those days or not, or they could just buy the rent for one full day.
So if somebody wanted to do, like they just wanted the full day, but looking at the application, you guys really feel that it's a whole weekend, then it's the whole weekend. But if somebody really, really feels that it might be, okay, so you're looking at this and saying, okay, but the wedding is actually only gonna be like 25 people. You know what I mean? People hear the word wedding, you assume immediately that it's gonna be the full weekend. But there might be a circumstance, could they appeal that? Is there appeal? I mean, not that I wanna create this big process, but I just also don't want the word wedding to be a trigger, because
No,
sometimes
I
those
think
weddings are
you're
small.
on the right track.
Yeah.
I agree. I think we should have either a full day or all weekend.
Mhm.
But if they're having a wedding, but if they start asking to come in on a Friday and clean up
Yep.
on a Sunday,
It's the weekend.
then, yeah,
It's-
they're
it's
not
the-
gonna get their deposit back, even if they do clean up.
Yep,
So-
and weekend is 6 PM Friday to now.
6 PM Sunday,
Or do we wanna do, okay,
that's what we talked about.
yeah, I thought we had midnight or something, but.
No,
that
we
was-
went from 6 PM Friday to 6 PM Sunday evening.
Okay.
It was a 48-hour period, that's what we had discussed last time.
Okay, it was in the paper as midnight or something.
Was it?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
I talked to a woman I know who rented the Opera House for her daughter's wedding, was very happy with it, but she said she thinks we should charge more deposit, because she said even if you charged 500, because, and I know that sounds like a lot.
Oh, yeah.
But she said when it gets to be 1 o'clock in the morning on Saturday and you have to be back there on Sunday to clean up, you know, they think, what's $200? But it might, you know, this was her take on it.
The
I'm just-
deposit was 100.
Yeah. you-
100.
I
it-
still
Okay,
think
so
it could,
now
I
it's at
still think
200.
it could be more. And I
That
say
was her
that,
take on it.
I say that because I was looking at prices for halls, if you were to rent just the Paper Valley Hotel for the night, you can pay anywhere between $600 and $1,200.
You're also paying for cleaning and staff,
I understand that.
but which is a lot of that.
I understand
cost.
that.
Yeah.
But we are coming in way lower than that.
Well, just this past weekend, I had to have 2 people over there to clean up.
And how much does that cost?
It cost me quite a bit.
Give me a
It's hard to
guesstimate.
quantify.
How many hours?
A
and-
couple hours each. Yeah.
So 4 hours at,
25.
yeah, so
Yeah, you throw in benefits
that's
and
the
then,
$200, so let's say
Yeah.
$300
you know,
it costs you.
it could take 3 to 4
That's
hours
just
to
the,
mop
the
that.
cost. That doesn't cost labor, material, or cleaning
Well, they
supplies,
still
any
gotta
of that
drive
stuff.
over there, there's gas, there's vehicle costs. It's.
That's why I think 200 is really
200
low.
is even light to me.
Mm-hmm.
I think the bigger thing we need to look at is that we have daily rentals of this facility that start at 5 AM on Monday morning. So
Okay.
regardless, if we have a big or major event on a weekend, we almost need to have somebody in there on a Sunday night
That's what I'm saying.
to prepare.
It's gonna cost more
It's
to have
gonna
them on
cost
Sunday, on a Sunday night.
It's gonna cost more. Because we can't put it on Sean, who's there at 5 o'clock on
Agreed.
Monday morning,
I agree.
you know?
That's why I'm saying I think we should increase that so that if need be, we can have some sort of something come in and clean it.
So you're saying go from 200 to what, 250 or 3?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Okay,
for sure.
well, let's agree on it.
Well, especially if you're doing like the whole
whole
weekend, the whole
yeah.
weekend, I think that those are those bigger events.
And the whole
I
building.
mean, they're only paying $262,
So
right?
would we make that different? For the whole weekend, the deposit would be more, and for the one day, because
Really?
there's not gonna be as much mess? You would leave it at 200?
No,
Yeah, I'm
Or do you
renting
think
it
that's gonna
Saturday
confuse
for
everybody?
a
Yeah,
couple of
that's
hours
true.
for a funeral week. So I don't plan on making a mess, but we're not gonna be in there much past Saturday evening, and certainly not gonna be on there on
The
Sunday.
higher chance though of a mess being left is somebody that uses it for a bigger event like a wedding.
Saturday.
But I don't think that solves our issue, because if he's in there on Monday, if you have a one-day event on Sunday and they still didn't clean, that still causes an issue for
I
Sean
think what
here.
we should do,
So-
you can have 1 day rentals in the dining room, but if you're using the gym, it should be all weekend, bottom line.
I
yeah,
don't agree
because
with
we have
that.
a noise issue.
Well, you may not, but
I know.
Public Works does, you know, I'm not complaining, I'm just
No,
saying.
because there's people in this community that want to use that facility because of what it is. And I agree with you, Carl, I mean.
I know, it's frustrating trying to get staff over there, I mean, Public Works has a ton on their plate already, and we're not in that business, I'm not a concierge.
Well, I
don't-
love-
I don't wanna run that kind of stuff, you know,
Yeah.
nobody wants to do that.
We're also not in the business though of being, and this is no offense to the current renter that's in there daily. We're also not in the business of becoming a facility that we wouldn't take a day rental for that gym on a Sunday because we have to have somebody there at 5 in the morning on Monday.
Yeah.
I don't wanna have somebody in this community not be able to use that gym because we know somebody's gonna be there at 5 in the morning. We're also not in the business of making room for a gym. Although I love that we have a renter there during the week, I love the facility being used during the week, I don't want that to be.
the determinant for everything else.
Yeah.
One nice
I
thing
feel
is
like
he's basically paying the electric bill now.
Yeah,
As far as the gym though, if somebody's using the gym for an event on the weekend, 9 times out of 10, they're getting there the day before and they're cleaning up the day after. It just
we used it for my
always
dad's
happens.
funeral service. We were there from 9 to maybe 5. So we would have had to rent it for the whole weekend.
And and like I said, you love that building, you take care of it, you have pride in the community. Unfortunately, 99% of everybody else doesn't. And
We didn't use the downstairs. We
I
just
don't
used
really,
the
I don't
upstairs.
necessarily have a problem with the full day rate or the 200 deposit for that day. I do think that we could raise the all weekend deposit for sure.
So you're talking about proposal one.
I like proposal one except for the deposit on the all weekend whole facility. Because I think that that one could be raised. Again, I think that people hearing that they're gonna get their deposit back, that number is less intimidating than I'm not getting that number back.
So you're saying all weekend is 300 for deposit?
Yeah, I would at least say 300.
Right,
Well, we
okay.
heard that from someone too, so.
What?
That's what the woman that rented
I mean,
it told me.
I mean,
She said 200 was like, well,
And then full day is 200?
Yes.
Okay.
And I think, you know, although I think that we're gonna get more rentals out of it when you adjust with these prices, and that's the end goal. You can reduce the price
Right.
and you get more rentals, you get more money overall then.
Could the
And still
deposit,
put the same wording that we did for
Yes,
the
exactly.
community room, because there again,
Right.
if something is
For damages.
destroyed,
Right.
we
Could-
have the right then, because we're covered with the wording.
could the deposit for the full weekend be even higher than 300? I mean, really, bottom line,
I'll just say the one thing that I heard from someone, multiple people this year about the deposit, and this was in respect to the community center, and I had one on the Opera House. The community center, they wanted to rent it for a birthday party for a few hours, and the issue to them was they were from out of town, and the deposit was $550. So
For
they,
beer?
yes.
Okay.
So her husband didn't feel like it was a good idea to just throw out $550 to sit in a deposit for, even though it was a small time, and they would most likely get it back. They just they didn't think that was enough money. Like, they didn't think it was worth.
But I think that's because the pricing for this facility was so skewed. I think you have to take that into consideration. So if we're adjusting the pricing for the facility from a rental standpoint, I think that the deposit doesn't seem so bad because they're not paying an exorbitant amount of money just to stay here for 4 hours.
And that
you know?
could be, and I was just letting you guys
Yeah.
know
I mean,
that
that's,
that's.
if I were to have a birthday party for my twins here, I wouldn't want to pay $600. I can tell you that would be ridiculous. Whether, I don't care what percentage of that was a deposit.
Yeah.
But to me, when you rent a facility for $250 for the entire weekend, that paying $200, $300 for a deposit that you most likely will get back if you do your due diligence is not a question for me.
and if you're
No,
renting
I
it for
agree.
a big event like a wedding, I just think even 300 to me seems like, oh, it's just $300, let them clean it up. I think the deposit could even be a little higher, knowing that,
Should we try it at a rate and then see what the effect is? I mean, part of this is if we change all this stuff, we don't know what people's reactions are gonna be until we let it flow for a little bit. I
Here's
mean,
the
this
prob-
may be a moving target for a little while because,
Here's the problem you're gonna have though. You're currently at $100. Now you jacket it up to 3. If you go higher than that, you might scare people off.
that's what I'm saying. I think
Yeah.
that we should do it in a small interval. Start at 3,
And
be safe.
see how that
Yeah.
See
goes.
how it goes.
Right.
Yeah.
See what the response is. Are we getting now because they're paying $300 or they're not cleaning it at all because I paid $300, so I'm already
Well-
put it out, or?
Yeah, $300 depends on the mess down there and what they create, but I think that should more than well cover us.
Well, I think $300
Wow.
is realistic because you're now giving them the whole building, right?
Right.
So now you're cleaning 2 floors for
Right.
$300, and they need to understand that. They're not just, potentially cleaning 2 floors.
So as I
One thing-
take it,
I'm sorry.
no, that's okay. As I take it, we're all looking at proposal 1, and we've kind of pushed 2 aside. So now we've kind of narrowed down the deposit. I think we're pretty much in agreement with that.
yes, and we talked about some wording, and I'm just curious, Carl, if someone left a mess there and it exceeded that $300 deposit, could that be similar to the damages? I mean, could it be, so, all right, no different than when you have a special event. There's, the public works director
Right.
came up with what this costs. And you would have to come up with, okay, so
A
it
rate.
cost me man hours, here's the rate. So you
You
left
have
a
to have a
mess,
rate
you've
sheet.
lost your
Cleaning.
deposit, And it costs us above and beyond that. So you don't lose money in this. You would actually be able to break even if you had to send somebody down there.
Cleaning is
Have a
billed
rate
at
sheet.
this much.
Just a rate
per
sheet
hour.
for cleaning.
Well, then
So
people
throw
are
the
gonna
word-
say, well, then
It's
we
not
did
always about
damage.
rates, it's about inconvenience too. Again, this,
Yeah.
we
Well, it's
bleed
overtime.
money in the Opera House.
Yeah.
That thing is a money pit.
I know.
It's gonna need $40,000 worth of air conditioning here, or heat, HVAC here pretty quick. It's just a money pit, so we gotta, whether or not we make, I know you guys are wanting to rent it multiple days on the weekends, but that's penny. I mean, we've got serious bills. We're gonna have to put a HVAC system in there in the next couple of years. That boiler's almost shot. You know, we're probably talking $40,000 to $50,000 just for HVAC stuff in that building. So whether or not we get, you know, for somebody to rent 1 day or 2 days, that's nothing in the big scheme of things. And the inconvenience of having to have 2 guys go over there on a weekend plus a cop once in a while. We work 5 days a week already.
I
We
want
got
you
one guy
to
that
recoup
works
your
through.
cost. Could we put something in there that just says that if the damages or charges because, okay, then I'll go back to.
Maintenance.
I'd have to talk to Sorensen about that.
Yeah.
I know what you're saying.
Because I'm just curious if you can go, well, it cost me, with all my payroll and all the time and everything else, it cost me $400 to get that.
Yeah.
So then, okay, it's deposit plus we billed 100. The other thing I thought of too, and when you're talking the amount of money that's, you know, needed for the Opera House, I've got plethora of folders that were handed over to me in the last couple months of all the different funding that went into that building when it was renovated. And I think if that's like a whole nother ball of wax, but I think we could do a
I'm just
capital
saying,
campaign
you know,
for that.
whether or not we rent it to one person for the weekend or 2 and then, you know, we have conflict. At the end of the day, whether it's 1 or 2, we're not really, by the time we have labor and all that stuff, we're not making it enough to even make a dent in the purchase of HVAC or windows and stuff like that. So,
If it were up to me,
my goal is to eliminate conflict between renters, which is starting to be more and more. Because I don't have the manpower, the personnel, or the money to keep this up for public works. I'm not opposed to people using it, don't get me wrong, I love that building. But we're getting conflict more and more and more. And I just soon rent it for the weekend and avoid that conflict.
if it were up to me, I would say move the deposit to 300, put the same wording in that's in this building so that it's unified, and we'll play that out and see what happens. If we have people that aren't, then we just need to exercise our ability to hold their $300 deposit and hope that it covers the few times, hope the time goes down that we need to use that because we have increased that deposit cost.
So you're saying not to include a rate sheet?
I wouldn't right now. If
But
we're
you
That's
know,
too
in the-
tempting for people to
In the
Just
say.
say-
wording, you
yeah,
could
I-
always say maintenance and repair costs exceeding the deposit amount will be
It would
billed
be the
back.
same as this building.
Right.
We should standardize it between the two
Yeah.
buildings,
Right.
because we should,
Okay.
these are both public facilities, they should both have the same
Got it, Nathan?
wording.
Yep,
They have
excellent.
to.
So we'll
Okay.
go with proposal number 1 then, we'll still have the
Right.
daily and
Proposal
the
number
weekend.
1, at a $300 deposit for the all weekend instead of a 200, with the same
Wordage.
wording for any sort of
Right.
damage above and beyond the deposit amount, da 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 da.
All right.
Is the non-resident same $300 or is
Yeah.
the non-resident, okay,
300.
for
Across
both,
the board.
all weekend and, okay.
What about the fees that Nathan proposed?
For
You mean the rents?
Yeah,
I think those are fine, to be honest.
Yeah,
are you okay with that?
yeah.
Yeah,
And
just
then-
keep the deposit the same for both, but I think that the full day rate and the all weekend rates are fine.
Looks good.
And then the rentals underneath the wording,
6 p.m. Friday to 6
for the
p.m.
weekend
Sunday.
rental, a full day rental would be Saturday, Sunday, and holidays only unless otherwise authorized or approved.
So what's the nonprofit pay?
$20
Admin fee?
would be the admin. When we were talking, we kind of thought of it more of like a special event.
So they wouldn't pay anything else?
They would pay a $200, or I mean, a
Deposit.
$200 deposit,
Right.
which at the time, was is way higher than what they're paying now for a deposit.
Right.
And then a $20 admin fee, and then
For
we
them
can
to
raise the deposit higher if that would be your guys' thoughts. But our thought was, most of these are for the public when they do rent it, and it's, you know,
So how do you offset your expenses, all the lighting and everything?
well, you would,
Well, it depends on, that's why it's a
How do we do
nonprofit,
it
if it's a
now?
benefit to the community. The last
don't?
time we had some senior nurses in there,
Mhm.
we're gonna do something with somebody's feet, and they were charging $8, and the
Right.
board said, no, you can't have it as a nonprofit because you're charging $8 to.
Right.
Cut their toenails, probably.
I'm like, you know, that is,
I'm not joking,
it's-
that's what my aunt does.
So,
I think let the administrator make the call on nonprofit.
well, so let me just back through this. The Hortonville Civic Association wants to rent it for their Mardi Gras. So you're telling me that the admin fee of $20 would be paid, and a deposit of $200 would be paid, and that would be it?
Actually, that's not, I wouldn't consider that, even though it is a nonprofit,
Mm-hmm.
it's not there to benefit the community like a Pete's Ribbon session for seniors. You know, that's what we mean by nonprofit. I know what you're saying.
So a 501c3, which is an IRS nonprofit, to
But
raise
you're
funds
still
for...
raising funds.
Right.
The nonprofits aren't there to raise funds, at least not in our eyes. But I mean, you're the boss, if that's the way we wanna go.
it would
I don't
be,
know.
my
Yeah,
thought
two
was,
groups
it
right
would
now.
be per day.
Yeah,
It'd be a per day.
Wait a minute, one at a time, please.
Yeah.
What-
go ahead.
Oh, I
What
was
is
just, my thought for the $20 admin fee would be a per day. So the goal was also to cover the cost of setup
Right.
and for electricity and gas.
So for 3 days, it would be $60,
correct.
and a $200 deposit.
If that's what you guys would
The
want.
deposit
If-
would get returned if it's
Yeah,
back in
right.
the condition
Yeah.
it's.
Yeah. And you
Which
guys
is-
could raise the deposit to the higher amount if you would want also.
So we dropped it from 75 to 20,
Correct.
okay.
But the deposit went up,
Yeah, but you get
But
that
you get
back,
that
so,
right,
in theory.
in theory.
I suppose we could debate nonprofit another day if we want.
Okay.
Yeah,
Alright.
because
I
I
know
think
there's-
that could open a can of worms.
And
Because
it
I know
always
there's
does.
two
Potentially,
groups
you
that have
know,
an
I
agreement
can,
with Opera House. the
because
American
you're
Legion, and
raising
Historical
funds, but
Society.
are the funds for the community
There's-
or for the betterment
Well,
of
for sure the
humanity,
money,
Right.
yeah.
blah, blah, blah.
Right.
Right.
Because of the money
So-
that's raised.
Okay, so we're all in agreement with proposal 1.
Mhm.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Okay. Nathan, you've got everything to put together? All the info?
Yep.
For these two? Okay, number 4, display cases for Municipal Center for Historical Display.
I think this,
Who's got this?
well, I think we all got it, but,
But-
I know
I thought you were
we
part
had
of the-
wanted to do something like that when we would design the building. We wanted display cases out in the hallway,
Right.
and while we certainly won't have enough room for all of our historical artifacts, it would be nice if we could rotate stuff in here, you know.
Absolutely, and I know the
Yeah.
Historical Society has the mezzanine, but there's things that are maybe season-specific or, you know, that are, and Nathan, you've talked to me just a little bit about this. I have, you know, we have items that are in storage, some items that, you know, you could try to rotate out, but maybe don't have the display case. I was just recently, came across a band uniform from 1912 with the hat and all. It's 100%, well, it's the coolest thing ever. Where do you display that? Well, wouldn't it be neat to display it even temporarily somewhere? So I didn't come up with a display case idea for here, but I love the idea of a display case for here.
It
That
would
was more their
also-
baby.
It would also reduce the echo, which is hard for people to talk from outside because there's nothing in the halls, so it all just vibrates off each other.
Got it.
The only concern I have is the lighting. It would have to be something that's lit, that doesn't get hot, and doesn't fade anything, the lighting, because in this hallway here, the lighting isn't so great.
No, but it's not terrible, but it's not museum
If you got
quality.
something like a photograph of something and you're trying to look at the description or something, it's something that could be, that have lighting, LED,
If they were nice cases, we could get wiring run to it.
something.
Probably somebody like our electrician guy.
I mean, I've got cases in my home that are built in that we wired and
One
did it.
of the benefits, if we had shelving here or
Mhm.
cases, we could bring over, let's say 30% of the stuff at the Opera House. And then the rest can go in that storage room downstairs or set it up somehow.
All I know is the Historical Society has a meeting come October, and there's an agreement between the village and Historical Society to use that mezzanine, so I'm not comfortable giving that mezzanine up.
Oh, that's fine.
That's not my-
Is that Monday's meeting, Monday night, this coming Monday, the 30th?
Nope, October 30th.
We need to figure out a way to secure that mezzanine.
And that I know that the Historical Society has engineering plans. I've been handed those in the last couple weeks as well, the
All right.
engineering plans on how to do that.
That's good. That'll work.
So there's
Yeah.
nothing this coming Monday, it's October 30th?
October 30th, and the hopes, without trying to go off topic here, but just because you're asking, the hopes are to hand out or to try and market it at the trick-or-treat event at the Opera House, even if I have to go there myself and hand out little tiny flyers to the parents.
Okay, those are all good things. We're getting sidetracked.
But the meeting would be the day after trick or treat.
We're getting
It's
sidetracked.
Shortly
Yeah,
after.
we are.
Days after.
It's
So
to
let's
try
bring
to
it
get
back.
them to we're off topic, but
Okay.
yeah, the
To get them
Historical
to come
Society,
back.
I guess
Sorry.
before, if the whole point is to try and get out of the mezzanine,
No,
That's
no,
like
we don't
another
have to. We
whole-
just need to secure it then.
ball of wax, yeah.
Yeah.
And I know that I've seen the engineering designs, so I know that it
Okay.
just, it
Well, then
fizzled
forget about it.
out.
Forget I mentioned it.
Okay,
Okay,
But the
Okay.
So,
cases,
but I love the cases here, yeah, too.
yeah, so we're gonna work toward that end.
we'll research it.
All right. Warming oven discussion.
I can
David,
start.
you take that?
Yep, I can start. So I had my initial conversations with the ADRT because the premise of this is getting really started is they solicited one and they actually asked for a unit to help offset their operations in their congregate meal set. Because they thought, they have a chafing table right now that they use. It's fine because they're averaging less than 1 meal per day in-house, but they're carrying out 20 per day. So they're able to keep temperature with the chafing table. So if it doesn't change, it's fine. If it ends up changing and we grow our capacity for eat-in, they would like to see the upgrade. So I talked to Bonnie today. She said at this point, they cannot justify the expenditure. I did my research. I found a used half oven, $425, a full oven, $795. You could go new half stack, which is about 3 foot tall, like a mini dorm refrigerator. It would accommodate a full sheet. You're looking in the range between $2,200 and $3,600 for a new piece of equipment. Peter graciously donated. It's an old unit. At this point, it's probably not worth putting money into it to bring it up to standard.
It's functional, it's
functional.
just that the outside skin is dented up and that's what we wanted to replace.
Yep. So we've had discussions. It's one of our projects that we've sidestepped because there's more important things.
Before we totally give up on it, we'll see if we can get some metal, but
Well, I have another idea. What if we utilize it as is, but we just build it in, take the wheels off it and build it in some kind of an enclosure.
Huh?
You know what I mean?
yeah.
Does it need to have the
Ventilation?
ventilation?
Yeah. Well, and you can do that. I mean, it ventilates, but you could ventilate it out the top. You could build it in.
I think they had planned on rolling it out and rolling it back.
Oh.
So now, like, with the congregate meal site, and I know that was something, we're not charging anything for that. That is something that we
No,
do as
it's
a benefit to the community.
It's, last year it went over $10,000 as an in-kind donation from the village to the county.
Yeah, because the one thing I did notice when I was down there a few weeks ago is that the carpeting, and Carol, I'm sure you're aware, that, and that probably isn't even from the meal site, but the carpeting itself looks like it could.
We've cleaned it since
You've
then.
done it, okay.
And
so
we're going
that's-
to actually buy a carpet cleaner.
Just because it was one of those, well, if that's causing that, we could maybe talk to the county, but if that's one more
It's
day.
hard to, I'm not gonna say yes or no.
Yeah, okay. But this wasn't supposed to cost anything. Didn't we do this as a in-kind kind of thing? And I love the idea of a warmer, but how often do you think that would get you catered?
Mhm.
Yes, it'd be handy for you.
Right.
How often do we get business in that, or in that building where that caterer would, how often would it get used? Or would it get
By
used
a
more?
second party or a
Well-
third
Would
party?
it attract more catering businesses?
We've done a couple weddings there, and the problem we have is we had to prepare it over in our kitchen, which is state approved. Then we had to put it in Cambro units and bring it over there. Well, that is a real pain in the butt
Yeah.
because it's really heavy. It's hard for the girls to maneuver, although it rolls, but then we had one tip over one time, which created a big mess. But, you know, lowering the rates for the use of that building might promote more, you know, optional weddings and stuff like that. And it might become, you know,
Right.
a useful thing.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be nice to have it, because I think it would be, as somebody who grew up in a catering business, if that was available, I think that would have been nice, because there was a lot of El
Right.
Camino trips with stuff shoved in the back.
Well, and you've got the Legion doing their events down
Yeah.
there.
Yep,
And they,
snowmobile,
you know, they would use it, yeah.
yeah,
So, you know, we did that. My goal on this whole thing was, we bought it at an auction when a place closed in Appleton, and we paid $1,100 for it, which I thought was a little exorbitant at the time, but my goal was to take it out, separate the units, and actually put it in our truck with the, you know, the hookups for electric and stuff, and that way we could take that truck out with everything out of our ovens, you know, take it in, you know, and get to site a half hour, an hour away. We did that big wedding a couple of years ago on 4th of July out on the lake. And we had to have, I think there were 12 Nescos there to keep everything going. Well, you know, if we can utilize it in some way or build it in, or, you know, whatever you think might
Yeah.
be.
I mean, we'll take another look at it. It's awfully swamped right now, but yeah, we'll take a look at it. And maybe something will fall into our laps. You never know. Sometimes
Well-
those things pop up on the Fox Valley Tech's website and stuff like that.
The thing is, you know, I asked you to have Chris get me the measurements of the skin, and I'll go to Tom Goober and see if they'll do it out there at,
See if I can just
yeah, if he can build us something.
process them out.
Yeah,
Yeah, I've got it written down here.
do you?
I've got the note.
Okay. Like we don't have
Yeah.
enough going on.
Yeah.
Okay,
There's a lot going on, trust me.
discuss the possibility of the provisions and placement of a free food kiosk.
that's me.
Yeah, what'd you guys find out?
Okay, so I did some research. These ladies that are here today also did some help
Hi,
with
ladies.
this. Hi. Did some research and did a couple of phone calls as well. I want to make sure I send it down. Anyway, the closest little free pantry that is closest to us here is Little Chute, actually.
Well, I thought it was Greenville.
Well,
YMCA.
the Y, yeah.
The YMCA.
It's on the map.
It's not on the map, is what I was
They're
getting
a little
at.
bit registered.
A little bit different.
They're not
So the
registered.
people that take care of these are called stewards, I've learned that. So really essentially what I guess what we're looking for is simply permission to put it in somewhere in the village that would be climate controlled, maybe on a 6-month, no, I got the chair that's sinking. On a 6-month
I
maybe.
thought you replaced that.
Yeah,
They're getting out of warranty, I guess.
Oh, okay.
This
Of
is
course they
like
are.
the third warranty.
yeah.
Is it good?
On maybe a 6 or 12-month trial basis. The whole point is there's a lot of them that are out there that are out in the elements, which seem to work. But it would be really cool not to have to worry about canned food items busting because it's cold. The gal from Little Chute said, I asked her if there was any vandalism, anything that, anything that she was concerned about. She said her only time, and she said, it really wasn't even vandalism. It was somebody opened up a box of cereal and ate some of the cereal and put it back, thinking that they should only take what they could eat. Which that, to me, broke my heart hearing that. But really what we're looking for is just, and we can handle the logistics of getting the container, making sure that it's safe, organizing a group within the community that would keep it stocked, check the labels, make sure nothing's expired. But the village, all we're asking for is simply a place to put it.
Just to follow up, I went out to the Y, and I have pictures of the one there, and measured that, communicated with the woman, Maureen is her name. I only connected with her via email because she was on vacation when I stopped out there. But the one out there was built by a Hortonville High School student, Jody Alex. Does that name
Yes.
ring a bell? I guess she's not there anymore, teaching
Jody taught
tech ed maybe?
at the high school. No, Jody Alex, I believe. If you've ever gotten some of the games and things that there's students that, I can't even remember what the name of the class call, but it helps with life skills.
Okay,
Some
So-
students that need a little help with life skills, and she
Yeah.
works on that, Jody Alex, that would make
so
sense.
that was her contact, Maureen's contact, but anyway, it was built by a high school student. And, there's a number of different plans, and Julie has this copied out, and I was on the same website, but there are different plans you can get depending on what size.
You can do just about anything. The one I thought was one of the most unique ones was somebody had contacted a newspaper company. Remember newspapers used to be able to buy like the metal box, so you could just put the money in it and like, you know, open it up? Somebody actually used one of those, where they removed the change function, and then they used that, because then it was something that, yeah, yeah. And the biggest thing is, I think we could find somewhere in the community to put it, if we had to, outside, which, okay, but I think we could be a step ahead and maybe do something on the inside.
What's
I have
the most-
talked to the chief. I asked her for a little bit of input on this too. I said, do you have any concerns? And then we actually see it as possibly a window of opportunity, that if there's somebody that's utilizing it a little more, or somebody that maybe isn't real familiar with maybe the library, or, you know, that this would be maybe an opportunity for maybe some outreach, that, you know, you could have little pamphlets on the side, hanging on the side for 211 if you're looking for assistance. We're maybe working with the Dale Food Pantry, you know, if you need to apply for the pantry to deliver, or to, you know, it'd be a place for them to find those resources. But I guess what really all that we're looking for is just the
Space.
village, to give us, at least on a trial basis.
Okay, how
Once-
much room do you need?
I don't know, it depends on the container. I think
What, can you go to the high school and have one built by one of the high school classes?
could, the other thing I thought of too is simply going to the Restore and finding a used kitchen cabinet, or like a pantry cabinet kind of thing.
It's the one only as big as that, but I mean.
Yeah, something is fairly small, and then maybe removing the front panel and putting some plexiglass in there, maybe modifying it, put some little bit of shelving. I don't think there's gotta be a whole lot of expense with it, although the little shoot, I think that she had, what did she say, almost $1,600 in grants, United Way and the Disney Fund. helped them.
Freestanding, movable?
I would say it's definitely movable. My only fear is I would wanna get something that would have no hazard of tipping and falling on anybody. It would have to have a very solid base of
So
some
if it were a
sort.
cabinet that would be freestanding, it could be anchored off to the wall on the top?
I don't even know if you'd have to go that far, because I wouldn't want to damage anything on the walls.
Well,
Sitting on the floor.
Sitting on the floor, but enough that it's got a decent enough base to it that there's no tipping hazard. If somebody pulled on, you know, somebody, it doesn't have to be big.
where are you thinking of?
Over by the PD,
Mhm.
so you've got your drug drop-off box, you've got your AED, and have it somewhere in that location. And I looked at it the other day and I went, okay, well, the AED, that's where it is. The drug box could be scooched over a little bit, but you've also got the gate that comes down.
Is that monitored
Yes.
24/7?
We measured.
It's 24/7, and it's also, because the safe room
Yeah.
that's in there.
100% access.
It's 24/7, 365. Do you guys have anything to add? Do you guys,
My concern is that I think that it needs, I'm actually new to the area, so I have no idea. But anyway, my concern is being in other communities where they do have them, is that I feel like that it needs to be somewhere where people feel safe to go. That they're not gonna feel like that there's people inside watching, because they're not gonna do it if that's the case.
so they're more anonymous.
Yeah.
But here with the PD, and I agree with you, and that's where I talked to Chief, but if you spend some time in this hallway here, there's a lot of activity for the library and things, but there's people that come in these doors to use the library, and I'm not gonna say it's gonna be a work 100%. I'm not gonna say it's the answer to everybody. I just know that there's a need out there, and
I'm for it over here. I'm so for it. I mean, I think that if it's 24 hours too, people after hours or whatever, they come in here, they're not gonna be like, oh my God, I'm getting judged or anything. It's the
Yeah,
police
as
department.
long as they can
yeah.
I mean,
do it
if you
at the
go,
right time.
let's say down on Main Street, then it's like, okay, who's looking at me?
Who's
Or,
watching me?
You know, who's,
Because you
This
had
is
talked
more
about putting,
anonymous.
yeah, 'cause
Yeah.
she talked about putting it in her front yard at one point,
Yeah.
and you
Where's
live,
your front yard?
258 East Main, right across from Dairy Queen.
Oh,
And I'll probably
okay.
at some point still put something there because of all the kids that go by, because I'm always handing out like gloves or hats or whatever, so just put that in there. But if it's something that could be climate controlled, that would be awesome for the canned goods or whatever is liquid but non-perishable. I mean, if you can help, why not? Rather than, okay,
Yeah.
what are ways to not help?
and this all started really with you asking if anybody would be interested doing something for school supplies. And I said, you know, I think we could take this a little step further, and I have talked to Ally at the library about doing something this spring and summer for school supplies, a school supply drive, and a place where students, because there's a lot of kids at school who don't have what they are supposed to have, but
And
that's another
sometimes
goal.
they put that in there too, in the
Mhm.
material, it said
Mhm.
that, you'll see when school is coming up, you'll see school supplies
Put
that
in the
people donate
pantries.
in there too.
So if we gave you a 2 foot by 3 foot, that's 6 square
What
feet.
is your measurement that you've got?
The best fit in that area, your maximum would be 60 inches wide,
That's 5.
42 inches tall, and then the cabinets out there are 16 inches deep.
Oh, so it's.
And that's even, to be honest with you, that is bigger than I was even thinking. So I think we could absolutely make something work. And I think if we did something like this, I would truly want to say it's a trial. Because that gives, and if at any point the village is concerned, whether it be Public Works, the PD, the library, admin, anybody's concerned, we need to have, we need to form our group a little better. Right now, we didn't want to form anything until we knew we actually had a place to put it. But-
So wait, if we gave you that space, then you guys would put this together?
And
You'd
give you
get
an
the
update.
funds, you'd get the funds and somebody to build it?
Yes. This would
And-
cost the village nothing.
How would work is for it? It's almost for it.
What?
This would cost the village
Yeah.
nothing. When the gal from Little Chute told me that she applied for a grant through United Way and also through the Disney Foundation, she says, we got $1,600 to pay for our box, and it also paid for an initial grocery shop and to have a little bit of an account that when it's low and it's not being replenished, that it gives us that chance. But the one thing she did mention is they created a Facebook group that is meant for people who want to help. It's not meant for the people that are looking for items in there, but, so for example, she checks it a couple times a week, and she put out there, hey folks, the pantry's looking a little bare.
Okay.
And she said within an hour, it was full, chocked full.
Yeah, and I think the Y said too, there's turnover regularly, they don't worry about the climate control stuff, and that was pretty consistent with the materials in there too, and oftentimes people that are also receiving or taking are also giving. You know, it isn't, I'm always taking, I'm also giving, so that's what they're seeing.
If
So
it
we-
doesn't work, it doesn't work, but I think we should give it a try.
Yeah, I think you
It doesn't
should.
hurt anything, and if anything, it helps, and I think I talked to the principal at the school, just in conversation, Tom Ellenbecker, he was here a couple weeks ago giving part of the presentation. He used to be a principal in Michigan, and not only did they have one of these, but they had it inside the elementary school, so parents could come back when the doors weren't all locked. They also have a free clothing, he said this was phenomenal in the school district, but because of the way security is so different now in the schools, that wasn't, in my opinion, a good option. Because you can't get into buildings unless you are checked in, so that there's just no place to go. Yeah.
I think that's a good spot for all the reasons you said.
Okay,
Approved.
all right. So
So, yeah,
what do you call your little group?
not sure yet. We have to sit down
Not
and
sure yet?
talk. We have brainstorms.
What did you say?
Natria. Whatever.
No, it's through,
my
I would
hearing.
want to register it through the Little Free Pantry, and have a name of a steward. So if somebody looked online, so I don't know, I know that the Little Chute calls their Facebook group the Little Free Pantry Little Chute. It's that simple. But even to have it registered on that map and to have the name, like I clicked on contact the steward, and within a half an hour, this woman emailed me back. I mean, so I think every pantry should have a way that, like, if it's at the Y, wonderful, then you could walk into the Y and ask questions about it. But if it's here, if anyone does have a question, then it just, here's the name and phone number of the person to call.
All right.
Or go online.
So I need a motion somebody should make that should read something like allow space available in the, what do you call it, the vestibule or just the hallway?
Police vestibule.
Police vestibule.
Well, the vestibule's in between the two doors though, right? We're talking, yeah. The other thing is I wouldn't want that 6-month or 12-month trial to start until we actually have a place.
Yeah, well, we wouldn't put a time limit on it.
Yeah, give us a little time.
No, so what are your limitations on size though? Maybe that should be part of it too.
I think you gave it to you.
60
Yeah,
wide,
60.
42 high, 16 deep.
Okay? Somebody want to make that
Anything else
motion?
to add?
Trial and error. Why not?
Trial and error.
Yeah. We
That's
won't
a
bring
little
it.
bigger than the one at the Y.
Yeah, and I
Oh,
think
you-
this is bigger
Yeah,
than.
you don't
That's
have to
okay.
go that big.
That was just
No bigger
But
than,
it's nice, that had like 2 shelves, you know, near
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
So that'll go to the board then, I'm assuming?
I don't
Next board
think it
meeting?
needs to.
Yeah.
Huh?
Well, anything passed in here goes to the board for.
Okay, all right.
So that'll be next Thursday.
Would it be on the committee report or on a formal movement of the board?
A formal, it would be
Okay.
a recommendation from the committee to the board.
Got it.
Motion to approve, okay.
Okay.
Just wanna make sure that we're covering our bases.
On other business then, do we ever, next steps for the Schneiders, because that has
Yeah.
not gone anywhere.
That needs to get board approval as well. That should be on the
So
next
we'll add
agenda.
That was from our last meeting.
I have not contacted them specifically because it hasn't gone to the board yet. I didn't wanna go to
Wait till
them.
it's approved.
I wanna make sure it's approved, and once it's approved, then I'll.
Both of these will be on the agenda for next week then.
Yep.
Can we determine a name?
Robert and Ann Schneider Memorial.
Okay.
No.
Or,
No,
No, Robert and Ann Schneider.
Ballroom.
ballroom,
Yes.
right.
Once though that we have that approved, then Carl, I think if we could sit down and
We're gonna have to figure out who does good stenciling or something like that.
something,
Do you want a bronze plaque?
something there, but
I'd actually like the name just over the curtain on the stage.
Okay. Oh, really?
Yeah.
like
I
I
think
have
it looks
vinyl
great.
decal
Up at
in
the
my,
top.
That would look cool.
a vinyl decal would work too.
The same person that came in and did the stenciling in the library. Does anybody remember that name?
We could find out though.
We
I'm
could
sure.
figure it out, but I
I'm
think,
sure if we look around.
I've just held off on saying anything to them,
Okay, we'll wait till after board
and
approval.
they've moved, they're now officially in Appleton, so.
All right, any other business, even though it's not on the agenda here, for next meeting? Make a motion to adjourn?
Do we need do we have anything for the next meeting?
Well, yeah, there might be some stuff coming up.
Okay.
We won't
so-
schedule it yet, we'll call it when we get
Okay,
our ducks in a row.
I think we should do it after the historical meets,
okay,
because we might have some more information, now we can move forward with the display cases then.
Okay,
okay, cause I don't have a
so
board.
leave it up to us to call the next meeting. The three of us are working on some stuff that we might want to roll out.
Okay,
Okay?
then I'll make a motion to adjourn, is that what you're looking for,
Second.
Peter?
I'll second.
Motion carried. We're adjourned.
Thank you.
Hungry.